Let's go.
Hi guys, welcome to Radical co-founder Candour. Is that the name we're going with? I don't even
Yeah.
know if it's a good name. If I'm honest, I haven't even read the book, but that's the name we're starting with. Getting off to an honest start there. The point of this really is that I think right now we're at a point where we've shifted from "is this going to work" to "oh, this is going to work." And one day in the near future, we'll be big enough that someone will tell us this is probably a stupid idea and we shouldn't be doing it. So before that happens, I just want us to start being real and honest about who we are and what we're doing and how we feel. Partly as a co-founder journal, partly just for us to open up and share some ideas. But also if anyone's curious, so they can see exactly who we're about and what we're trying to get up to. So, gents, welcome.
Yeah.
What do you want to share today?
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Well, I think, yeah, it's a really interesting idea. I'm keen to do it. From my perspective, I want to fight the opposite. Why not? I want someone to explain to me why we can't do this and why we can't be open and honest. When we started this, we had lots of questions and we made lots of assumptions. And I think it would have been awesome if there had been a resource like this where people could just watch a video and see what it was actually like, read some information. And I want to know why any of this should be hidden. Is our secret source that we can hide information better than other people? And if the answer is yes, then that's not great. So I'd rather find out sooner rather than later that we've got something. We've got something good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that will be really interesting for people that are thinking about starting their own business, about creating apps on the Atlassian marketplace. Probably we would love to see something like this, a few years ago, who from somebody who is, did it for a couple of years. And yeah, let's see. Let's see where this will take us.
Yeah, I've always noticed like there's a certain type of person that tries to make what they're doing sound more complicated and impressive, and so they
Yep.
sort of obfuscate things and make it like mysterious. Um, and honestly, I really just wish that more people would realize that they probably could do what we're doing, and they if they're
Yeah.
unhappy in their day job, they should quit. They should start something. Because as
And
brilliant as
that's
I think we all are, I don't think any of us are geniuses that know some deep dark secret. None of us had to sell our soul to the devil.
No, and part of it is it's hard to make the decision from the start. What we've done is make lots of micro decisions that added up over time, and when you look back on it, you say, "Ah, well, yes, I was a genius, and I expected this to happen." When we had no idea. At every step along the way, we made some assumptions really early on, and we'll talk about that in a bit. About some of the funny assumptions we made when we started, about like, "Oh, we'll make 10 apps, and they'll all make this much money," and we just had no idea because the information wasn't available, and that information is gated with the largest vendors, say in the space. The largest vendors know the changes over time. So when you're small, you double the sales. You don't know where the ceiling is or what big customers mean to you. And having a bit more information, we're still at the small end now compared to the larger vendors. But if that information and we can show how we've grown from the first sale we made through to where we are now, uh, even if that information is just useful to other people, the reason we're doing this, there's no ulterior motive other than we genuinely believe that the pie gets bigger. And it is really hard to actually do it. The pie gets bigger when you see a pie expanding, when you see the pot of money, the marketplace, for example, sales getting bigger for the whole ecosystem. You think, great, I want more money. I want a bigger piece of the pie. That's how you get more money. It's very hard to honestly say, if we had 10% of the marketplace today, and I told you we're going to have 5% in 5 years' time, would you be sad or happy if I told you we're making 10 times as much money?
It
So the
depends
reality
who's
is,
getting the other 5%.
yeah, and that's exactly why I'm keen to do this, because the pie gets bigger if everyone, the marketplace is open enough and there's enough opportunity and the customer base is growing, that we can all make apps that help the users. And the more people that use Atlassian because there's better apps, the more people that buy apps, the pie gets bigger, right? So that's why I'm keen to say, if what we can do today, and through this series of Radical Co-founder Candour, inspires other people to do what we did and actually helps them think that it's possible, then that's amazing. And if they become our competitors and build better apps than we do, then that's also amazing. If we can work with people like that and have, you know, partnerships or just see them grow in the same way, then that would be amazing too.
Yeah, it also makes me laugh when, you know, when you're a kid, you think your parents know what they're doing. When you go to school, you think your teachers know what they're doing. When you get your first job, you think that, you know, the management, they know what they're doing. They have this, you know, hour-long management meetings deciding about the future of the company. And I think the conclusion is that nobody knows what they're doing. It's all depends on, you know, your work ethics, the micro decisions Tom mentioned. And I think that's going to be super interesting because now we can look at the last couple of years and see and say, okay, it looked like this, you know, our journey looked like this. We're not sure what's going to happen in the future. You know, we can try to make plans, etc. But I think this retro look into the past will be so useful, not only for us, but for other people as well.
Yeah, I think we're enormously fortunate because there's two things that have really overlapped, and one is like the sort of people we are. So I think both when I met Jacek and Tom, the first thing we're immediately talking about is starting our own business. It was like always clear that that was what we wanted to do, our instinct, our drive. And I think we took that to small companies in quite a small micro niche. And so seeing that, you started to sort of question authority early, right? Like as you said, yes, like started to wonder what was going on the behind the door in those meetings. And then once I got there, I was like, I don't know, there's a lot they know I don't know, but I reckon I could learn, or at least I could find someone who could do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I always believed that just
That's the hunger that
work
anyone
out
needs, right?
somehow.
Yeah, the belief that we can do it better is always like it could be a generational thing. It can just be an experience thing to say like, actually, I think I could do this better. And that doesn't mean I'd make fewer mistakes. You'll make way more mistakes, but you want to do it differently is the word, right? You want to do it differently in a way that you think will be better. And we make decisions differently. So depending on where people are, in their process. So if you're a very mature vendor, you may be more interested in defending your position than starting new ones. And that's something that we had the opportunity to do at small scale. Is we picked 15 different apps. We had like so many different ideas at the start. And what we brought to the table wasn't development. So we are not developers. And that's the key thing that Old Street's doing that's a little bit different in this space. It's why we came together, is that Old Street, the USP, like what we are, is understanding the team. We're the marketing, the sales, the product, the consultancy mindset. That means that when we work with developers, we're able to help them, you know, fulfill their potential. They enjoy waking up every day and going to work, and so do we. But the important thing is that everyone gets to do the job that they actually want to do, not one they're forced into.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest motivation for me as well, to be able to create something and work something that it's yours and have influence on you know, what's going on. Let's say we decide, all right, we want to try this, we want to try that, you know, we want to try this strategy, this campaign, you know, and then do it. And that's so exciting because we make mistakes, you know, but on average, I think it worked pretty well for us.
Well, I think it'd be really hard in a different sector. So, you know, Tom talks about more established vendors, but what's the oldest vendor in the Atlassian ecosystem? Like 10 years old? Like it's
That's a legacy, right?
yeah, right. Those are the old guys we're complaining about. And that's I think the point is that you'd see, you know, we worked for these companies that were the biggest in the business, but they were less than 10 years old, and we went, well, I mean, in 10 years' time, I could either have one of these or still be working for one of someone else's. Like that was the easy choice for me. Right?
Yeah, the opportunity was there. We could see other people doing it, and we saw other people do it. So right at the start, we talked a lot to Automation for Jira, the Code Barrel team, and they were brilliant. We met up with them at Summit and had dinner with them. This was way before they were part of Atlassian. And yeah, it was interesting to see. They had a similar ethic. They were more focused on the developments. They were some developers that started it, but they had a great marketing team, and they really understood that they were building a specific product for a specific set of users. And that was really nice to see. They were doing something a bit different in the space. And a lot of what we've done is, emulation through association, right? We saw what worked for them. We saw how we could take what they did, but bring our skill set to it. And that's been, really, really great to see how that worked out.
I think my favorite example, big shout out, sum up for Jira. I remember several times when we were convincing ourselves, our friends, our family, investors, sum up for Jira was the example we would show. And the funny thing is, knowing now what I know, it does take a lot of work to make a simple app that's easy to use and works on all platforms and can handle the upgrades and all the documentation's right. But at the time, I was just like, sorry, it does what? It's a calculator for tables in Confluence or Jira, and they make how much money? Oh, yeah, okay, we're definitely starting this business.
So we didn't know, and that was the key thing. We had no idea. So we just looked at the marketplace numbers and we said, well, they've got this many installs, and we made some guesses around user tiers because we've got the prices. So public information is you've got the prices and the total number of installs, depending on like cloud and server and data center spread. You don't know that either. So yeah, you have to guess, and we had no idea at all what an app makes per month, per year with that many number of installs. We found out the hard way, or at least in some ways. So some apps that have a lot of installs, what you can do is you can have a free app for a long time, and then you can switch it to paid at the last minute, and then it makes you look like you have a high number of installs, which is great for customers seeing it. Oh, that's got a couple of thousand installs, that must be a good app. When actually it was free for the first 1900, and you've just switched it to paid at the end. And that can again skew your estimations. You think, my God, this app's got thousands of installs and it's really expensive. They must be like just driving Lamborghinis to work. Where the reality is it's just not like that. And these are assumptions that we were making really early on when we just were doing like pen and pencil drawings of the apps and saying like, yeah, let's just build these things. Let's find someone to work with and do that.
No, I think transparency is really key though. Like, I want to sort of just open up, give visibility to people like us, or even people different to us. They're welcome to it too. I think what I've noticed is now you've got AppFire, sort of acquiring other companies and
hoovering.
Yeah,
vacuuming up.
When they contacted us, you could tell that they had an API or whatever monitoring our growth. So they knew, I think, before we worked out how quickly our app would grow, how much money it would be worth in 6 months' time. Likewise, you have like blended perspectives reporting on the statistics for the growth. But yeah, I think that's just part of a broader trend where that information shouldn't only exist if you're big enough to want to acquire other people. It should be available to anyone that's curious. Like I say, any lone developer that's sat in a miserable day job wondering whether they can do it, I think they should at least have the information to hand to know whether it's sensible or not.
Yeah. And we haven't signed any NDAs or anything with that file. Like, we're not saying anything, untoward here. It's just our personal experience. People see those big announcements and they're like, "Oh, someone's been bought by AppFire, and that must be amazing for them." And it might be what they want, and that's great for them. But we want to understand, well, what are the other options? So, if getting bought is the end goal, then you have AppFire. A lot of people, Adaptivist has bought a few apps in the past. Atlassian Ventures has their option as well, which is like seed funding. And those are all, they're all interesting options. I think AppFire, for us, when they spoke to us really early on and said, this was with custom charts, they said, "Are you interested in selling it?" And we said, "Well, not really. We're interested in growing it." That's like the excitement for us.
It's tough though, isn't it? I think for some people, they probably plan on building something and selling it. Definitely, it's more common in other industries. I think AppFire's trying out a new model. Well, a traditional model, but new in this subsector, right?
Yeah, I think it's quite classic for industries that you start with many small companies, and then the market is consolidating basically. So that's what we start to see, and I think this is just the beginning.
Oh yeah. We're still in the bedroom developer. We still see like hundreds of apps released every month. So.
And
Like
it's exciting. Like
how many apps do we have at the marketplace right now? Is it like over 4,000 apps, right?
thousands, yeah. And with Forge being released, general release today, Forge is now available for people to make even smaller, faster apps. So there'll be thousands of cloud apps being released on Forge now, even more. So yeah, I think it was interesting. These were the options we had at the start. We said, you know, how much money can we make in total? And the reason we made that calculation again wasn't so we can decide when to buy the company yacht, but it was to decide when we could actually get paid. And this is a key thing to talk about, is like, where does the money come from? And a lot of it, when you have these conversations, there's a few assumptions. So you look at someone like Old Street, and go on then, Chris and Jacek, what are the guesses? Like, where could we have got our money from? If you're going to guess from the outside looking at us, what are the possible sources?
Well, I'm a bit posh, so I always
You sound it, yeah. You can...
Yeah, I reckon people assume I've got a loan from the
Family
bank of
money.
mum and dad. Yeah.
Okay.
That I was going to say the same thing.
Back from the dad, yeah.
Yeah, Jacek's parents are paying me money to look after him. So.
And this is the thing. There's big assumptions, and what I don't want to be clear about is that there's no. I don't want to take for granted that we do have a safety net. So having you know, family units and a safety net for us was a big deal. The fact that I could, when I quit my first employed job and went and started contracting, I knew with some confidence that if everything fell apart and I lost everything, I could just move back in with my parents. Like, that was the baseline for me. Wasn't homeless, destitute. It was very comfortable living in my parents' house, and having that as a safety net isn't something to take for granted. So when we say, oh, we're self-made, did it ourselves, it's not quite true, because taking risks is all about circumstance. And this is something I'll get onto later about what we then want to do to help people that can't take those kind of risks, who don't have those opportunities at the moment. But for now, it's just talking about ourselves and how we got here. So yeah, we didn't take family money. The original company was started. We work with a development partner called Hatovo, and they, we knew them. Chris and Jacek knew them from a previous life, so we had a personal connection with them. And they had a lot of experience building Atlassian apps. We had a lot of experience using and marketing and selling Atlassian apps. And what they'd struggled with in the past was building a good idea and following through. And they had amazing developers, and they just needed that. So we went to them and we had this meeting in Slovakia. And yeah, we sat down and said, we've got an idea for an app. We want you to build it. And I said, but we're not going to ask you to do it for free, because I'm sure you get a dozen emails like that a day. Like, I've got an idea that will change the world. Can you just build it for free for a couple of years? Then we'll share the imaginary profits in future. So we said, no, we're going to pay you cash as if we were customers. We believe in this so much that we're going to pay for it in cash as if we're customers. So they were a consultancy, sold development hours, and we worked. So I got a job as a contractor. Chris and Jacek, when they joined at various stages as well, also did contracting and other work to pay the bills.
I mean, arguably, I was consulting for our competitors, right? Like how some people would think about it. But for us, it's just all part of the philosophy of just transparency, and it's funny. We'll talk about that in depth on another episode, I think. But yeah, well, whatever it took to pay the bills, right? We would just make it happen.
And I think what is important here to highlight is that you have some skills, we have some skills, but even if you don't have everything, you can find a way to get somebody to help you with development, to get somebody to help you with sales, with marketing, etc. So I think our strength was that we knew that we have, those skills, but we don't have those skills, and like how do we make it happen?
Yeah, we were very fortunate in that respect that we had these connections, but we also didn't rush into it. This isn't something we just decided overnight. I've heard Atlassian's a growing thing. Maybe we should make some money. Like we had years and years between us relatively in the space, as Chris says. I'm not going to say 30, 40 years, because it's not been around that long in the current scheme of things. So yeah, we had some experience. We knew roughly what we wanted to do. We knew that customers there was some gaps in the market to fill. So we had some certainty that there was money to be made. The question was how much, and would it be enough to actually sustain us? So we did the contracting to pay the bills for a while. And then with the development partners, eventually we said, great, we've now proven it. Kind of, we've proven that the app is growing and that it might make some money in future. Do you want to jump in as well? And they are a lot more established, more mature in their size and scale, and they said, yes, we want to be part of that too. So we started a joint venture, and that's the company that builds custom charts. Is Old Street is the brand, and Old Street is the owner, and Hatovo is an investor in that.
Yeah, it's been an interesting story. There's so much to deep dive on. So I think what we'll do is sort of every week share a bit, sort of deep dive on one topic, share our experience going in, try and tell it in a bit of a story arc, and just keep on with this path of just being as transparent as possible. Talking about some of our assumptions going in, we'll probably learn a bit more about each other, because it's just really good having a very frank and open conversation, right?
Yeah. I think to kind of summarize the point of saying before around that's how we started, that's a quick version of how we got to where we are now. The romanticizing, the taking the risk, there wasn't this big moment where we said we're going to quit our jobs and work in the basement on pot noodles for months. That's overly romanticized. It was just gradual steps over a long time, working 20-hour days, which was quite hard at times.
I mean, a lot of those
contracts.
A lot of those stories are survivorship bias from a company that became trillionaires, right? And I just want to sort of share a story of people that have been reasonably successful.
Like, we don't want to make billions. We don't want to be the next Google or next Atlassian. We don't have delusions of grandeur in that respect. I'd be very happy if we could go to work every day, pay ourselves, work with people that actually really enjoy their jobs, stay at a small size where everyone's actually happy. And ideally, and this is the future part I'd like to get to, is where we can help people that can't take the same risks we did. So there'll be a lot of people that maybe will watch this and it will resonate with them. I'll say, cool, I really agree with everything you've said, but I have a house and a mortgage and a family, and I can't just quit my job to do what you do. So I'm stuck. So I'll just watch you be moderately successful, and I'll keep working at the job that I hate because I can't take those risks. And I really want to see how us as Old Street can work with those people and get to be part of this. Everyone can do the thing they want to do, everyone can win, and believe me, the pie can get bigger. But yeah, it would be nice to do something different.
I just want to inspire some people to quit their day jobs, or at least start a little side hustle. Yeah,
inspire makes it sound like pushing them off the plank into the ocean, right? But enable, like, if there's a way we can help, and that's what we've seen. There's a huge spectrum of doing it yourself completely to being part of a team that does it, and but being part of a team as a contractor and employee. There's like huge power in all of those steps. And
let's be clear, like, I fully expect some people to be watching this and be like, that sounds awful, and start looking for another industry. Good. I hope I saved you a year of going down the wrong path in that case.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say at the beginning, we were not aware how difficult it is. And I think talking about, not only the great things, but the difficult things, and all the problems we went through, that will be even a bigger value to the people that will listen to this.
So would that be fun as a quick exercise now, or should we do it for next week? Like, talk about something that we thought would be easy that was difficult, and something that we thought that was difficult.
I think that's a big topic that could be like
that'd be a good topic for a whole episode. Yeah, I think for now, the takeaway is just that, as you just said, Chris, like, this isn't just for like-minded people that say, oh, I want to quit my job and do it all myself. Like, the takeaway is, there is a piece in the team for everybody, but nobody should be sat at a job they hate or wishing they could be more and are trapped by their circumstance. If there's a way we can help, not the world, not trying to boil the ocean, if we can help just a small number of people that are really inspired and want to work with people like us, if they don't, that's great. We've saved them a lot of time. They can switch off now. But if anyone is interested, that's who we want to be speaking to. That's who we want to engage with and inspire in that way.
That's homework then for next week's episode. We're going to talk about something that we thought would be easier and something we thought would be harder. And maybe talk a bit about, like, who we are, our backgrounds, and why we did this, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. I think that's brilliant. Yeah, let's just keep sharing. And likewise, if anyone's watching this inspired to sort of open up, has any questions, we are an open book.
Very, very interactive. There's no script here. If you have questions and want to reach out, or anyone finds this interesting, we're going to be releasing lots more information, like not quite scripted, but like blog versions of this, highlighting the summaries of what we said. Also publishing more information. So we just said at the very start that we just guessed sales numbers. It would have been great if someone had published all their sales numbers for an app that grew, to see, if you can quit your job tomorrow or not. So we'd love to publish those as well, so that everyone has that information.
Awesome. Jacek, any words of wisdom with your beard of philosophy?
Yeah, I think next week's episode will be really interesting. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, let's talk then.
Thanks, James.